Georgia is scary. That's what Fox Sports Joel Klatt had to say, Matt DeBerry, as we get into the final stretch run of the college football playoff season. I guess it's college football season. College football playoff is all anybody cares about. But Georgia is ranked two behind Ohio State, and Joel's Global Point. He's the commentator that works with Fox Sports to call their big noon games. So a lot of Big Ten, some Big 12. And he's, he like everybody else has seen I don't know, has it been a shift in Georgia or just kind of kicking it into higher gear? What do you think, Matt?
A little bit. We kind of saw this last year. Once the Florida game hit, they really found their stride and played well. Obviously, last year, number one Tennessee came to town and they beat them soundly, worse than the final score indicated. Beat a strong Missouri team right after Florida. And this is just the next step. And, Kirby tells his team all the time, one game at a time, one game at a time. They're going to be ready, but I still don't think we've seen this team play at their peak or their best. And I think that is something he might be alluding to as well, that, the potential is there for them to be real scary. Maybe right now they're a little scary, and I'm sure Ole Miss is scared a little bit, especially with that defense going up against this high-powered Georgia offense. But they're going to have to be ready to play in Athens. We talked about that all week, but we'll see if this week, Dean, in this crowd, this environment, this is when they play their scariest or their best they have all season, whether it's Kentucky or Florida. I think they played better in both those games than they did Missouri, but we'll see. Maybe this is the week where we see them play their best.
Well, I think what happened in the Missouri game versus the Florida game, I think they were not, I mean, they did play better against Florida, but I think the one thing that happened in the Florida game that did not happen against Missouri was Georgia got two turnovers, or at least was it two, or they had the block punt, then they had the strip. So those provided, 9 easy points. If you add that to the Missouri game, you're talking about an 18-point victory, and people aren't, so that's an important thing as we close the season here. Now you're going to be without Jamon Dumas-Johnson probably for some time. When do you get Bright Bowers back? When does Amarius Mims come back? This Georgia team could look different, and Georgia could look a little bit different as this season goes on. I want to just say that. I was shifting in my Ecool chair. I just wanted to point out you get 15% off and free shipping. This is a multi-tone chair. So you got the red and black. I'm using the pads that you can also get as well. This is awesome. Ecool has any type of furniture that you want for outdoor living, whether you're at your beach house, your lake house, or like Matt DeBerry, both of them. You can make sure you're picking this up today. 15% off, and they're going to give you free shipping as well, which is a great deal. But I don't know. The link is down below. Make sure you use our code. I don't know, Matt, if... Well, we're going to see here. I mean, it's not like Georgia's easiest game is the game they're about... I mean, excuse me. Excuse me. Their most difficult game may not be the Ole Miss game. It still could be at Tennessee. We're just going to see. I mean, this season you got a long way to go for Georgia still, whether they win or lose these games.
Yeah, we're going to find out even more about Tennessee this weekend. If they go on the road and beat Missouri, that would be a very impressive, sound victory, right? Then they've got the Dawgs. I think right now it's a toss-up. Which game is tougher? Is it a top 10 Ole Miss at home or a possible top 12, top 10 Tennessee team on the road? Probably that, but we'll find out about Tennessee this week. I think we know what Georgia is, and we know that when they are fully healthy, they do look like the best team in the country. And even without Brock Bowers, they've still been really good. They're a team that can fight through adversity, take a punch, come from behind. They're not blowing most teams out start to finish, but this team knows how to win, and they know how to play with grit and toughness, that lunch pail type of team. And I think that bodes well for them this weekend. And on the road as well. They played in some big-time environments, and I think that's going to help them and Carson Beck next week. But right now it's about Ole Miss, and got to get the job done. I think they will. We'll see if they play scary, though.
Yeah, I will be the person that says it. They don't have to win this game. I mean, but it would, you don't want to lose ever, and particularly in middle November. But I think that
could they get the number 1 seed? They could get into the playoff with a loss here, but
they would never be the one with a loss. Yeah. Not this year. I mean, there's just too many. They're going to be about a probably a 4.5, 5 point favorite over Alabama and Atlanta if those two get there. And that's the game they're going to probably have to win of all of these games. So, well, and Georgia Tech as well, quite frankly. But there's just so many teams that are out there right now who are, undefeated. You got 5 undefeateds from 4 leagues, and it's crowded at the top. Now that will change. Obviously, we'll only have 4 undefeateds from 4 leagues at some stage here. But I think for Georgia, what Joel Klatt's global point is if these guys play their best game, they're probably not losing. I mean, maybe they lose to Michigan. We just don't know what we don't know about Michigan. That's the problem with them, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing what they have to do, which is crush these bad teams week in and week out. I don't think they've had a real close game all season, and that's what you expect out of a top 3, possible top 1 team who's just playing cupcakes for the first 9 weeks of the season. You want them to blow their brains out, right, every single week, and that's what they've been doing. So I think they're a very good team. I think they're going to beat Penn State next week. But if Georgia does play their best, I don't know, the week they played Kentucky at home, like I don't think anyone's going into Sanford Stadium and beating Georgia that week. And, the game plan is week to week. I just think they had a fantastic game plan for Kentucky. Other teams are harder to game plan for, but even a couple of weeks ago in Jacksonville, they were playing so well and they were so efficient. And with what they were doing on both sides, all 3 phases, really, it would have been tough for anyone to beat Georgia that week. Yeah. So we'll see if they give that type of effort. Well, the effort's not really the problem. It's the execution, right? Can they execute at a high level? Most of the time they can. I think they should be able to, at least offensively. I don't think Missouri's defense is going to have a big day against Georgia's offense. I could see Ole Miss scoring some, not as much as Georgia, if they execute the game plan.
Yeah, when you look at everything with Ole Miss, you talked about this in a different video. One of the things that really jumps out is, man, they don't play as well on the road as they do at home. If you recall, they were in a real fight with Tulane for a while and then pushed that out in the third quarter. They did not play well at Alabama. I think if there's a game that if there are teams that are like one another in the SEC, Georgia and Alabama are most like each other. Kentucky's in that universe too, just because of the physicality of play. Perhaps Arkansas, but it's the teams I keep mentioning regress from where Alabama and Georgia are. So I think that and Ole Miss had a hard time against the Hogs too. To be honest with you, I just think playing, and that was at home. Playing on the road is a challenging thing in the SEC. There's a reason why Georgia's not lost since the South Carolina game in 2019. A lot of it's the players. A lot of it's the players on the field. I mean, they have the best players, and they're playing at home, so it's not exactly like But the Sanford crowd has got to matter too. This is the last home game of the year. They will have a home crowd in Atlanta against Tech. They may have a pretty significant home crowd against Alabama if they play them in Atlanta. If they were to play LSU somehow or Ole Miss, it would certainly be lopsided toward the Dogs. But this is probably one of the final times where they will have the massive crowd advantage. And I think this is a great time to use it, Matt.
Yeah, I think I triggered some of the older generation, the older folks in another video. Didn't really mean to, but I'm just saying, if you have enough voice to speak on Sunday, probably shouldn't go to the game on Saturday. This is a big one. It's at night, and maybe take one for the team. It's great to watch football on TV. I love watching football on TV. So if you're not going to bring it as a fan and get loud and help the team win, especially in a game like this where Ole Miss is not great on third down. Quick plug for my Thursday video, Dean. I've got all the numbers. How good Jackson Dart is on the road, the penalties they've racked up, where they are on third down.
Give us a preview.
So against Tulane, they were very good, but it was Tulane. Hard to talk about that, but just a quick one. They had 8 penalties against Alabama and Tuscaloosa, 11 penalties at Auburn. If they move backwards, they're not going to have a shot in this game. And they are committing a lot of penalties on the road. Just 5 penalties at Tulane. That's probably their best of the season. But Jackson Dart is not throwing the ball that well on the road. He had 2 rushing touchdowns against Auburn, but he's not as good on the road. The team isn't. They're committing a lot of penalties. Don't like that matchup. So again, the Sanford crowd, if they bring their A game, it really is going to help a lot.
Yeah, it's your ticket. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but the reality is that if you are the crowd matters in games, and there's reasons why. I mean, you can create penalties. We saw that a season ago with Tennessee. Well, we see that every week, but certainly last year against Tennessee and last week against Missouri. Secondly, uh, I guess why fight about that? Like, that's something that you should be doing. You should bring it with all that you've got. And, if that's not for you, then I agree. I mean, it's your ticket, but why are you going to the game if you're not going to really go for it?
And these are expensive. I mean, this is the ticket. If you're not going to go,
they are. Yeah, sell them. It's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But I think that let me just see how expensive these tickets are going for right now on the secondary market. But it is going to be one of the largest, one of the biggest games that Georgia's played in some time. I mean, the lowest ticket right now is $199, and that's $50 more than the Penn State Michigan game. So there's tremendous anticipation for this game. Florida State Miami is $145 on the secondary market, which is quite a bit as well. And that's really it. That's about all that's over 100 this weekend. But this Georgia team has got a real opportunity, and the fans do matter, man. I mean, I think that the fans should be able to get credit for affecting the game, because they do.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it. We've seen it time and time again. And especially after last week, a little disappointing. So
I thought it was. And I'm not bashful about it. Listen, I mean, I've done this for a long time. And I feel like I know the Georgia crowd. And if people want to get mad at me, they can. I don't care. You just don't watch the videos and don't subscribe. Don't buy the books. Don't do all the things that we do to entertain you. That's your prerogative. I don't think I'm better than you or anything like that. But if you can't take criticism, then, whatever. That crowd was not that great last week. And I said it after the game. Kirby didn't say anything about how great and elite it was. So the challenge has been issued. Are you going to really matter this weekend or not? Like everybody talks about, Sanford has become a great place for the home team to play. It was not great last weekend. It was adequate. It was good. It was fine. It was whatever. It affected the game. Imagine what it would be like. Does Ole Miss, Matt, have the discipline to get through a wild Sanford environment? Because I can tell you, it does affect you on the field. You can feel it goes through your body.
Yeah. In the first quarter, too.
Yep.
If for Georgia to get off to a nice, comfortable 14-0 lead against an Ole Miss offense that can move the ball and score, yeah, if the crowd's effective and loud early on, help them go backwards. Even a false start against this Georgia defense is so much. I mean, even if that could be a drive killer, going backwards just 5 yards. It's tough to get 10 alone, but if you have to get 15, 12, 8, whatever, it's really tough. And if Georgia can get on the board early and keep that momentum going through the crowd for 4 quarters, it's going to be really, really, really tough.
Well, I know we started with what Joel Klatt had to say, but I mean, part of it is the crowd. The crowd has got to do its part, and I think, generally speaking, it usually does. I will say this in defense of the crowd, though, and I said it going to the game when we were driving. I just don't know if people are going to be really, psycho to play against Missouri, because you saw the crowd in Jacksonville is always nuts. Now, that's a different crowd. Just like the crowd in Atlanta is different than the crowd in Jacksonville is different than the crowd in Athens. Georgia does have kind of 3 different audiences. But if the crowd in Sanford for a night game can, against a top 10 team, although it's not, Tennessee or the Gators or Auburn or Alabama or LSU, it's Ole Miss. If they can't get up for that, then what are they going to get up for? And this is a really important game. This is a game that helps you set, are we going to play in New Orleans if we win the SEC championship or not? And to me, that matters a lot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.